You're listening to Just Hit Play with your hosts, Peter and Nick Cabral. If you're tired of your stagnant, streamed music feed, then strap yourselves in for an intergenerational sonic journey through Peter and Nick's favorite songs.
Welcome to episode 75 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. We're recording on Wednesday. It's Champions League day. Liverpool has won. And so I'm playing with house money for the rest of the day. I'm in a good mood.
You're in a good mood? That's good. Yeah, we play, you were saying off air that Barcelona lost today, so they're with us in the Europa League, so that'll be fun. I like it when we actually face good teams in the Europa League.
Yeah, well, Juventus and Benfica and all those guys are all down there now, too. So
nice. That'll be good.
Exciting.
It'll be a good tournament. Yeah, football's going through a bit of a metamorphosis where a lot of smaller teams, for whatever reason, could be coaching or tactics, are beating a lot of the bigger clubs. So this will be fun to see what happens in the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the World Cup coming up as well to look forward to.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that, I'm in Canada next week. As of recording, I'm in Canada next week, and it'll be fun to actually watch some football at some decent hours where I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and watch a game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you'll be able to watch Canada's first World Cup match in Canada.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I remember back in 1986 when Canada made their debut in the World Cup. So it's been a long time. There was Mexico 86 was the last time Canada was in the World Cup.
Yeah, and now they're back, and you'll be here for it.
Yeah, I'll wear my red and what color are the uniforms? Is it red?
Yeah, red. Yeah, I think we have a white.
That's pretty typical Canada. They usually go red.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting job. So if you're the first time listening to this podcast, I'm a photographer. I got hired by this company that wanted, and I had to borrow a few lights off Darren. Darren, how you doing, by the way? Darren's in our Brisbane studios.
I'm doing good.
Good.
Darren, I like the beard. Sorry to interject, but I like you growing it out.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
So I had to borrow a couple lights off Darren. So this company hired me to go in and be a light consultant because they want, and I'll explain what the business does in a second. So they want people to take selfies after they've seen the doctor. And they wanted a light consultant just to come in and make sure the lights are set up properly. So I sent them I showed them some different examples of lights. And then I sent them all the Amazon links to buy the ones that I showed them. It's a vasectomy clinic. So they have this sign that they're going to hold up, that the patients are going to hold up afterwards, and that the doctor's name is Richard, so his nickname is Dick, so he's Dr. Dick.
Of course.
So they're going to hold up signs saying, I was snipped by Dr. Dick. And then later when I come back from Canada in December, I'm being hired to go in there, and I think they actually want me to photograph a procedure.
Nice.
As it's going. So I told them that I can control my camera from my phone, so I don't have to be in the room. I'll set up the camera on a tripod, and then I'll just I'll photograph it from outside the room. That way I don't have to wear like a mask or a gown. Or I'm assuming there's cutting involved. I don't know if it's lasers now. I guess I'll find out soon when the camera's on the testes.
You don't want to be in the room and watch? I feel like that'd be cool.
I do not. I do not want to be in the room, so we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, yeah, that's certainly a cool job.
Yeah, photography is an interesting profession. It's very different. One day I'm photographing a 1-year-old's birthday party, and next thing I'm photographing testes being worked on. So you never know what's coming down the pike. Yeah.
Well, like I said, certainly an interesting one. Keeps you on your toes, eh?
Yeah, and off your balls. Okay. You're going first this week, so let's talk about your song.
Yeah. It's another appearance by Playboy Carti, one of my favorite artists of all time. I remember you liked the first song we did by him, Stop Breathing. That was like a nice little punky hip-hop track, a lot of anger, a lot of rage. This song, Vamp, Anthem, it's from the same album, Whole Lotta Red, that came out in 2020. And it should be immediately apparent why I chose this one for spooky season. This is our last episode of October, last episode of Halloween-themed songs. So, Darren, why don't you just hit play on Vamp Anthem?
guns outside, little bitch, you better be ready. When the guns outside, little bitch, you better be ready. When the stars align, little bitch, you better be ready. I wanna take my time, little bitch, you know I'm ready. I want it right now, little bitch, you know I'm ready. Go. I flat the same color as cranberry. You come on by my gang, it's Hail Mary. Them niggas not no thugs, they some fairies. I'm playing with them birds like I'm Larry.
All right, so like I said, should be immediately apparent. This is very on theme. But aside from that, what did you think of this as a song?
I think at 2 minutes it's perfect. There's not a lot of dynamic shifts in the song. There's really some nice ominous sort of organ behind it. To me, then I've not listened to this album, so you can tell me how far off I am. This sounds like a character building song for an album, trying to establish a character or a feeling for an album. Obviously, I'm guessing this wasn't released as a single or as one of the best songs from the album. Am I anywhere close to being correct?
You're pretty much bang on. So Whole Lotta Red, it was very much a leap artistically for Carti in terms of like he had a vision for an aesthetic, an atmosphere. He wanted to put together like songs with a cohesive package and feeling. The whole rollout and album art and everything, it's really tied into like this mix of old punk aesthetics and vampire culture aesthetics. That's sort of the character he embodies on the album. And so you're absolutely right. This is it takes up almost a place of like an interlude on the album. It's like halfway through, and it really just sets that spooky vampire Transylvania castle atmosphere really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's sort of what I picked up on when I first heard it. I was like, oh, that was quick. And then I sort of, as I listened to it throughout the week, and I was like, okay, this is what I think is happening. I'll forgive him for the auto-tune. I would have preferred if it didn't have that and he actually sang. But we'll leave that alone for the moment. I think you're right. It's a perfect song for this month, and it's Vamp Anthem obviously refers to vampires, I hope. And that's perfect. Yeah,
it's just a cool little experiment by him. Like the whole album was, as I said, pretty experimental, boundary pushing for his own standards. And he's known for having really minimal beats. He doesn't really use a lot of like layers and layers and layers of instrumental tracks. And this is a perfect example of that. It's literally just this creepy organ sample and a drum pattern, and then he does the rest. So again, I think that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot of hip hop music is really overproduced, and you get tons of effects and sounds, and that can be done well, but a lot of the times it's just exhausting to listen to. So I'm glad you see the point of this song. It's just a little bite-sized like switch from the norm, we could say.
Yeah. And was there a few tracks on this album that are like this?
In terms of being short, interlude-y, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. They're kind of peppered throughout. Like there's one song where he takes on this like paranoid schizophrenic person like character and talks about like he's like he can't go to sleep because he's like afraid, and when he goes to sleep he dreams about murder and people trying to kill him, and again it's just like a 2-minute like rant type song about these thoughts he's having, these paranoid thoughts. So this is sort of along the same lines, really just setting the atmosphere.
I think when it comes to concept albums and like artistic albums like this, these songs work really, really well to establish a character or a mood. I think if a song like this wasn't on an album like this, I think it'd be a little strange and out of place, but it sounds like it fits perfectly.
It really does. Yeah. And when I first listened to this album, I can vividly remember my first listen. And when Vamp Anthem came on, I was like, I did not know what to think of it, because on first listen, I wasn't really putting together like the themes of the album and thinking about what he was trying to do. And so that organ sample just came so far out of left field for me. I did not know what to think. But on subsequent listens, like it's definitely just, it really helps the album be what it is in terms of a whole package. And I just love that he really committed to the theme and setting that vampire atmosphere, because, yeah, again, that organ, it's just so good.
You know, it's funny. Concept albums generally work or they just don't. There's really never any middle ground for concept albums. R. Kelly, you know, not to mention, you know, a horrible, horrible man, but R. Kelly, I think he released, like, you know, where he was stuck in the closet because he was sleeping with a woman and her husband came home and there was like a 17-minute version of the song, and he was trying to build that concept and it was just terrible. It didn't work. And then, you know, you have like, you know, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is a perfect concept album. You know, so sometimes they work or they just don't work.
Well, this album got, when it first came out, critically well received.
Yeah.
But the initial reaction from just people online and people I knew in real life was almost overwhelmingly negative. Like,
yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Like this album. They really didn't. I'm happy to be on the right side of history. I've got receipts and proof that after my first listen, I said, this is fantastic. It's really good. Yeah. But it was just such a tonal shift from the music he'd been making prior, which was just, I don't want to say your basic trap music. He definitely was more psychedelic inspired, more punky to begin with. But
right.
You can't say that a song like this would be mainstream by any use of the word.
No, no, absolutely not. And that's sort of what I like about Playboy Carti is that he definitely does delve on the side of the art and not, you know, I'm assuming he still sells a lot of records, you know, don't get me wrong, but he definitely pushes the envelope in.
Yeah, and that's what I like about him too. Like I said, he's one of my favorite artists, and when I say that, people either get it or they look at me like I have a third head, because obviously lyrics are a huge part of music. It's one of the main parts. You have the instrumental and then the lyrics. Playboy Carti, minimal substance, we can say, to his actual lyrics, but he just does things like make really cool sounding trap music that no one else is making, and is very influential for that. This album spawned so many or influenced so many people, so many other artists to make music in this style, in this genre, and yeah, it's always gonna be one of my favorites for that.
Cool. Now, was this how many albums, do you know how many albums he has? Like, how long has he been recording for?
3. His first came out in 2017.
Okay, so he's relatively a new artist then.
Yeah, he released an album in 2017, 2018, and then 2020.
Right. And he's been pretty silent since this album?
Yeah, Playboy Carti is... I have this curse where all the artists I really, really love, Travis Scott, Frank Ocean, Kendrick, Playboy Carti, He Who Must Not Be Named, they all hate their fans and never release music on time. They lie about albums coming out. I remember September last year, he did this whole rollout for an album called Narcissist, released merch for it, announced a tour, like the Narcissist tour, a release date came and went, no album, didn't say anything about it, just pretended like the album didn't exist. So who knows what Playboy Carti's up to. Right now, his most recent shows, he's like painting his face black and white like a Kiss cosplayer, or like he's trying to make himself look like a vampire or a zombie, and he's wearing baggy clothes. And, he's just a weird guy, but that's why he makes good music.
Well, strangely, that fits in with our next artist that we're going to listen to, which is Prince, the song I'm bringing, because we'll get into a little bit later, but there's been some unreleased tracks that Prince has promised as well. So, these people that have a lot of artistic ideas and a lot of artistic thoughts sometimes change their minds at the last second, and you don't know why.
Yep, and will we ever know? Probably not, but that's the mystique.
Yeah. Speaking of He Who Must Not Be Named, I'm happy that Adidas dropped them, so I never have to see another one of those shoes. Just personally.
The Yeezys?
They're the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
See, I like a good amount of them, and I'm hoping that they now like plummet in value, and I can get some for cheap. That's what I hope comes out of it.
Some of them are really garish.
Some are. I will not argue with you there. Some are just terrible looking, but when they stick to the more basic colors, I like them. I like the shoes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really curious. I would not be angry or upset if you introduced a little bit more Playboy Carti as this podcast went on.
I will.
I would have no problem with that.
I will, because I'll tell you something. When we started this podcast, and I think I said this on the first Carti episode, but I'll say it again. I have been waiting since episode 1, trying to figure out how I was going to introduce you to this guy.
Yeah.
Because I was so convinced that you were going to hate him, like completely hate him.
Yeah.
For the reason that he has no lyrical substance to speak of. He really doesn't.
Right.
But as we're 75 episodes in now,
Yeah.
I've come to realize that you can handle him, so there will be more, for sure.
I love the punk ethics of, say what you have to say. Who cares who you offend? My truth is my truth. The Clash and the Sex Pistols said some horrible things to certain generations of people and certain types of people, and they couldn't give a rat's. And, they were coming from a very specific point of view, the working class mostly point of view, and the downtrodden, especially in England. England's really based on a class system. So they were coming from, the hierarchy and the upper class. I have no problem with biting the hand that feeds. I think we have to.
Cool. And one other thing I wanted to touch on this song, the organ sample, I just gave it away. It is actually a sample, and it's of the 18th century composition, Toccata and Fugue in D minor, BWV 565 by Johann Bach. And Darren, why don't you just play a quick snippet of that composition, and I think our viewers, or our listeners rather, will recognize it immediately. Yeah, it's again just another great example of sampling and how really talented producers can take something so recognizable and make it sound cool and put a beat around it. So
I
just
think
some
the
neat
cool
experimentation.
I think the cool thing about that is they probably didn't have to pay any royalties.
Absolutely not. That's got to be public domain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's why you have so many like those songs are used in so many movies and films, and because you have to pay the musicians, but you don't have to pay the copyright.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, what did you think of Vamp Anthem by Playboy Carti?
I didn't mind it. Did nothing for me, but it was okay.
Yeah,
I think
it's thematic.
Yeah, I think our both instincts are right. It's a song to build a character and to build an atmosphere, and it works really well at doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, and great for spooky season.
Absolutely. All right. Now, you said you've been wanting to introduce me to Playboy Carti since the beginning of this podcast, and I've been wanting you to listen to this song, this hot mess of a song from episode 1, and I didn't play it last year because I wanted to hold off and use it for this year. October, we're in the spooky season. Halloween's a few days away, and this is Batdance by Prince. Darren, just hit play. All right. Now, I described the song as a hot mess. What do you think? Am I right?
Depends on what you mean by hot mess. Do you like this song or not?
I love this song. I think
okay,
it is
good.
It is so fantastic and just all over the place, and you don't know what's happening. And it's Prince at his most princiness, knowing he could do whatever he wanted to do, and he did it.
Yeah, okay. I got nervous when you said hot mess of a song because I agree with you in the fullest extent. I think the song is genius. Like straight up visionary stuff. So I was really worried you're about to come on and say, yeah, that song terrible.
No, this is an amazing song. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so this song came out in 1989 for the Batman movie with Tim Burton, the Tim Burton Batman in 1989. Culturally, that movie was absolutely huge. Batman was everywhere. People were really excited because Batman was going into a darker direction away from the comic book sort of 1960s TV show. And this movie was absolutely humongous and huge, and probably the biggest movie of the year. And having Prince record the soundtrack was even better. Yeah.
Well, like every Prince song I've ever heard, this only reaffirmed my belief that Prince was a generational talent. His creativity and abilities, in my opinion, and again, wasn't around during this time, so it's not the most informed, but I think he really pushed music forward with what he was making. And this song is, again, just another example of that. Who else could have made this song at this time in 1989? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why Prince wanted to be on this soundtrack is because the Joker in this movie, played by Jack Nicholson, wore a lot of purple, and we know Prince loves the color purple. So his clothes were purple. I think the car he drove was purple, and so Prince really felt that he should be on the soundtrack, and he was right.
He was absolutely right. And what an inspired choice to get Prince to do the soundtrack for this movie. Whoever pulled the trigger on that, made that call, I hope they were well compensated for that decision. It's just one of those things that makes sense.
Now, this movie featured 3 Prince songs in the movie themselves. This song was never played during the movie. This was only sound in the soundtrack, and was never in the movie.
That doesn't surprise me, because it's so heavily built around samples from the movie itself. So I feel like it would have been weird to play in the movie at any point. But that's another thing I love about this song, is it's so heavily based on sampling, which, coming from hip-hop listening background like me, I think it's really cool and ahead of its time in that sense. So Prince gets extra brownie points from me for that.
Yeah. Well, this wasn't even originally supposed to be the song. He had written another song called Dance with the Devil that was supposed to be the song released for this album, but he changed his mind at the last minute. He felt it was too dark, so he came up with this song, which is really just an amalgamation of a lot of songs, as you can probably have guessed. And Dance with the Devil has never seen the light of day. We talked about artists that have released records or said they were going to release records or songs, never have. Prince probably has a vault of albums that he's never released. There's even been talk that he's done music videos and spent millions and millions of dollars on music videos that have never seen the light of day. For whatever reason, he shelved. So Dance with the Devil, which was supposed to be on this movie, was never released to this day.
That's the same with Playboy Carti. He shot music videos for that album I was talking about, Narcissist. Pictures behind the scenes pictures came out of music video shoots for that album that will probably never see the light of day. But Prince, he blended together so many genres on this song. Like you said, it sounds like an amalgamation of a few different songs, and he really wove them together so well. And then the guitar solo bridge too, to go from the more electronic section into the hip hoppy, funky Vicky Vale part. Wow, yeah, this song is something else.
It's strange. Not a lot of people remember this song. This was a #1 hit in America. And it's probably the most forgettable song of Prince's career that went #1, because it was just for that little bit of time. And there's not many people that I bring this song up to that ever remember the song that were around, with me in my youth. So it's one of those weird songs that really hasn't stood the test of time. It's people like me, Angie loves the song, her brother loves the song, that fondly remember the song, but a lot of people have forgotten about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't say it surprises me too much. There's not really much mainstream appeal here that I can see. So many different sections of the song. It's so distinct, and there's no clear chorus or hook. And there's no doubting that this was experimental in like every sense of the word. So I'm not surprised. Like honestly, I'm just surprised it went number one at all.
Remember, it's not a typical number one song, but like I said, the movie was huge and everything around it. I had a Batman T-shirt that I bought around this time that was just black with the gold bat sort of symbol on it. It was just ubiquitous with making money at the time. Yeah,
I guess so. I guess anything Batman in 1989 played well.
Now, did you listen to the song or did you also watch the video?
So I did watch the music video, not on my first listen, but I got around to the music video.
Good.
And
yeah.
Holy crap, what a video. Like,
yeah.
Prince, this man can do no wrong in my eyes. I swear.
Yeah, one of the best videos I think of all time. It's amazing, yeah.
Like, before I watched the music video, I had the thought on one of my listens of the song that it sounded like something from a musical, like a stage play. And then I watched the video and was like, oh, yeah, I was right. Because the music video is just straight up like stage play vibes, very theatrical. The dancing, the choreography, the costumes, the set. And I don't know about you, but I would pay very good money to watch a Prince Batman musical. Like, how incredible.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That would be pretty cool, yeah.
He did like a stage play in this style with like the aesthetic of the music video. Oh my god, it would be a killer Broadway show.
That would be pretty good. Yeah, even if you watch the video, he's like half his face is painted like I think it's purple and the other half is painted white, which is he called it his Gemini character because that was his star sign. It was like half good, half evil. So the Joker part was the evil part, and the Batman part was the good part. So that's why he wore like that face paint on his face in the video.
Yeah, I loved the half Joker, half Batman costume. Yeah. That's so sick. I love that.
No, I'm assuming you've seen 1989's Tim Burton's Batman.
When I was a kid, I haven't seen it for easily over 10 years though. And honestly, listening to the song, watching the video, I want to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's still one of those movies that kind of stands up. Like there's some parts of it that, I think subsequent Batmans are probably better. I think the Chris Nolan Batmans are my favorite Batmans. Even the last one was okay. I think the Chris Nolan Batmans to me are better movies, but it still holds up pretty well. Tim Burton is a very hit and miss director for me. I love like Beetlejuice and Batman, but there's certain movies that I hate. Mars Attacks. Like there's certain movies like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory I did not like. So yeah, he's a really hit and miss for me.
Okay. Yeah, I like, I don't know, I haven't seen many Tim Burton movies. I really like Nightmare Before Christmas. That's one of my favorite movies of all
Great
time.
Movie, yeah.
To be honest, I always say that's my favorite Halloween movie and my favorite Christmas movie.
It's a fantastic movie, yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, inspired by the executives at Warner Brothers to tap Tim Burton for a Batman movie. That's, I just think, really creative and swinging for the fences. And then they continued that by getting Prince to do this song, the soundtrack for the album. Like, they're just making good decisions.
I think the movie preceding this one from Tim Burton must have been Beetlejuice, and probably Edward Scissorhands, I think, was before this one as well. So he had some killer movies in his wheelhouse, and he also, and I forgot about this, and I just remembered, he directed Pee-wee's Playhouse as well, or the Pee-wee Herman movie was directed by Tim Burton, which is a really bizarre movie in itself. So I think that was Tim Burton's first movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's a pretty messed up movie, but it's pretty good. Yeah. Think Tim Burton with Pee-wee Herman. Do you know who Pee-wee Herman is?
No.
Okay, so Pee-wee Herman is this comedian back in the 80s who dressed very nerdily, and he had a TV show, and it was a TV show like for kids, but he had a kind of interesting backstory. He was a bit of a creep in real life. Like, I can't remember his name in real life, but he got busted for masturbating in a movie theater during like a porno and things like that. But yeah, he's an interesting character, Pee-wee Herman. So Darren, do you remember Pee-wee Herman?
Yeah, but not seen anything with him for decades.
Oh yeah, no, he hasn't been around for a long time. Yeah. So Pee-wee Herman's first movie was directed by Tim Burton.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah. So if you ever want to go back to the earliest of Tim Burton, there you go. That's his first one. As far as I remember, that's his first one.
Circling back to Batdance, I'm not done talking about this song yet.
Sure, go for it.
Sorry. The guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
Can Prince ever miss on a guitar? Has he ever missed on a guitar
He
solo?
can shred.
Made a bad one? I don't. Not to
Yeah.
my knowledge. This is just another outstanding example.
No,
I
he
think.
shreds. He can play the guitar.
Is it? Would it be controversial if I said that like Jimi Hendrix and Prince are my favorite guitarists of all time?
No, not at all. I think they're both amazing players. That's one of the things that Prince never really got credit for is musicianship, especially his guitar playing. It's outstanding.
And are there like similarities between Jimi Hendrix and Prince guitar wise? Like, does it make sense that I like both of them so much? Do they have similar styles, do you think?
No, I wouldn't say styles. I think what set Jimi Hendrix apart was that one of the reasons why no one can play like Jimi Hendrix is because he was a left-handed guitarist playing a right-handed guitar. Does that make sense? Like it's really hard to replicate Jimi Hendrix's. He's playing the strings backwards.
That's so cool. I can't believe I didn't know that.
Yeah,
But that right there tells me all I need to know about why I love him,
right.
and his guitar style, because it sounds unorthodox and sounds unique in a way
Yeah.
that I think I really connect with.
So obviously, there are left-handed guitars for people that are left-handed. Jimi Hendrix grew up poor, so they couldn't afford a left-handed guitar. So he just had to learn as a left-hander on a right-handed guitar.
That's so cool. What a great piece of trivia.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why Jimi Hendrix sounds unlike so many other people, because how can you play that?
And there's also the urban legend that he would like put the acid or whatever. He would be like tripping on acid every time he played. I always think that's a funny one. Like, didn't they say that he had like his headband was like infused with LSD and it would like seep into a cut on his forehead, so he would be continually dosing himself with acid during live shows.
Yeah, it's because he died at the age of 27 when he did. It'd be interesting to see what Jimi Hendrix would have been later in life. Did he ruin one of the things that drugs do? Obviously, when you do copious amounts of drugs like LSD, it really shortens your lifespan and it makes you look really, really old really, really quickly. So he'll always be a beautiful, beautiful person, won't he? Because he died at the age of 27.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And I know Prince is no longer with us, but when did he stop making music, really? Like, or did he keep going right up until when he died?
Yeah, when he died. He, again, talking about drugs, I'm just going by memory here. I don't know the cause of his death, but he had a lot of addictions. He, I think before he died, his hip was replaced, which is a very painful operation. It's something very painful that people go through. And I think his opioid use was through the roof. And, that had a really bad effect for his heart and his, organs, I'll say. And that's I think if I remember correctly, that's the reason he died.
That's too bad, because I would love to see the kind of music he'd make like deep into his career. Like, if he was still making music in 2022, I can only imagine how cool it would be if he stayed on that wavelength of creativity and breaking the rules of music and just doing his own thing. I think he'd be making really cool stuff still.
Well, Prince could dance, he could move, and one of the reasons why he injured himself so often is because of the dance moves he was doing. If you ever see Prince live in concert, even this video, you'll see him moving and doing a lot of acrobatic things, and it damaged his body over the years.
It's a real shame. He sacrificed his body, his health for the art.
Yeah, no, he really did. It's just one of those, things that, you're a young man, and a lot of times young people think they'll never break down, and that they'll stay young and beautiful forever. Unfortunately, that's not true. So sometimes the things that you do in your youth do catch up to you as you get a little bit older.
Well, I've started noticing that I actually get like hangovers now, and I'm like, I'm only 22. This should not be happening until I'm at least 30. Like, I feel like I'm getting ripped off here.
If you ever get a headache after a hangover, do you know why you have a headache?
Oh, it's dehydration. Hangover is just dehydration.
Right. So your brain shrinks.
Yeah.
And because there's, your brain is connected, you know this, you're a medical student, your brain is connected to your skull through filaments and things like that. So it's the stretching of those filaments that actually, the reason why your head's hurting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like I almost never get hangovers. The rare
Yeah.
occasion I enjoy enough to get a hangover, I still rarely ever get them.
Yeah.
But they're starting to creep in the odd time, and I just don't like that. So I'm going to choose to believe that I will stay young forever. My body will not fail me, and I will not have to cross that bridge.
Well, one of the reasons why I stopped smoking pot is because it was no longer enjoyable for me. It's been probably 20 years since I've smoked pot. I just kept having really negative trips, and I would just dwell on the negativity and my mortality and death, and it would just take me to a very, very dark place. And then one day I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm not having fun doing this. But, when I started smoking pot, when I was younger, I loved it, and it was really funny, and I used to giggle a lot. But I had to stop as I got older because it just was no longer fun for me.
Yeah, and I talk to people usually past the age of 30 is when I'll talk to people and be like, oh yeah, like if I drink, then the next 2 days are a write off for me.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I think that's horrible. Why would you drink then if that's the case?
Right.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, I don't drink, and I don't do any drugs at all. So it's quite surprising. If you would have said that to me when I was 19 or 20, I'd be like, come on, I'd still be doing that. No, I'm a teetotaler now. So yeah, life changes quickly.
Life sure does. Life comes at you fast. Yep.
It does, yeah. So yeah, my life is completely different than it was in my mid-20s or early 20s. Not to tell tales out of school, but I remember getting a physical when I was 24, 25, and the doctor thought I had hepatitis.
Oh, wow.
I didn't. And he goes, we did a scan of my liver, and he goes, do you drink? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, not anymore. I'm like, okay. So yeah. That's another reason why I had to stop drinking. My doctor thought I had hepatitis.
Yeah, again, as you pointed out a couple minutes ago, I am in the field of healthcare, and you're drinking enough to be mistakenly diagnosed as having hepatitis. It's a really good thing you stopped. Yeah, it's a really good thing you did.
So that's the day I became a non-drinker. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, no hip replacements are in the cards for you either.
No, Angie's mother just had her knee replacement, and we visited her in hospital a couple of times, and it just looked so painful. And so I'm not looking forward to any of that kind of stuff. Hopefully by the time I'm getting my hip replacement, knee replaced, that there's different kinds of surgery or different kinds of medical procedures that I don't have to worry about that. But we'll see how that goes.
Well, even now, getting a knee or hip replaced is obviously it's still a very unpleasant procedure, but even compared to 15 years ago, it's
so different.
So much less invasive. So when people of Prince's age in that time were getting joints replaced, I can only imagine the level of discomfort you would be in, because it used to be quite an invasive, heavy procedure for sure.
Well, even medical science has gone way beyond what it used to be. Like in the 70s, there was a famous hockey player named Bobby Orr, who one of the greatest hockey players who ever lived, and his career was shortened so much by, I think he had 7 or 8 knee surgeries, and what would be just keyhole surgery now, and his career would not have been impacted. He had to retire from hockey because he just couldn't physically do it anymore, and his career would have lasted a lot longer because of just how surgery is now. Yeah,
it's a damn shame. It really is.
Yeah, no, it's thank God for medical science, and listen to your doctors, people. They know what they're doing.
Yes, they do.
I've said that for just a very specific few people that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, doctors, 8 years of school, 8 years plus of school, you do learn some things. It's quite impressive what you can learn in 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. Darren, do you remember this song when it came out in 1989, and what did you think of it?
I didn't remember this one at all. I don't think I've ever really heard it, or again, I've forgotten it if I have. So I didn't mind it. Yeah, it's long though.
It is long. Yeah, it's one of those songs that was huge when it came out, but disappeared really, really quickly and was never heard from again.
Until now.
Right. What song do you have for me next week?
Next week, and I'm very excited for this one, you're going to listen to Easy on Your Own by Always. This,
I like Artemis.
yeah. This they just released an album after a 5-year gap in September. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Probably my favorite album that's been released this year. I'll go ahead and just put that out there. And this is a lovely song from it. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
Cool. So I've decided, because I'm going to Canada in a few days and I'm going to be there for a month, the whole month I'm in Canada, I'm going to just play you songs from that I absolutely love. So I'm going to go from the 60s, 70s, 80s to the 90s. Just Canadian music and the history of Canadian music. I'm going to delve a lot into what made artists move to the United States and, when they became popular and why they became popular. So the first song you're going to listen to is one of my favorite artists of all time. It's Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young. So I'm really excited for you to hear that one.
Cool. I love Neil Young.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. I've really getting, doing research for the podcast, I've been really getting into some old Canadian songs, and I'm going to play you songs that probably not a lot of people remember or have heard of that are Canadian. So hopefully I get into your little memory banks, the people that are listening that are Canadian, then hopefully you remember some of these great songs that I'm going to play for you.
Awesome. I'm excited for Canada Month.
Yeah. I'm excited to come home. It's going to be nice and cool when I get there, so that'll be fun. All right. So this is the part of the episode where we usually play some kind of music from history, but at the end of every month, we usually like to say who played it better. So we're going to play you an original and a cover of a same song. So in honor of Prince, we're going to listen to the Prince song called Kiss, and we're also going to listen to the Tom Jones version of Kiss. So first, let's listen to Kiss by Prince. Darren, just hit play. Cool. And now the Tom Jones version, which also features Art of Noise.
You don't have to be beautiful to turn me on. I just need your body, baby, from dusk till dawn.
All right, before I begin, that's two very different versions, which I like. Art of Noise were this band from the 80s that would, their name sums them up pretty well. They would make instruments out of anything and just make musical songs, banging pipes. So they're one of the first true industrial sounding bands of all time. So that's why the Tom Jones song sounds a little bit different than the Prince song. Okay, enough said. Nick, who do you like better, the Prince version or the Tom Jones version?
Do you really have to ask me? I just spent 20 minutes expressing my love and adoration for Prince.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be him for me.
So you're going with Prince. Okay, cool. Darren, how about you?
I'll go with Tom Jones.
Tom Jones. Okay. I love both songs. I think both artists make it their own. But yeah, I'll have to side with Nick on this one. I'm going to go with Prince. I think his version is just amazing. And also, Kiss was the last number one song Prince had before Batdance. So this was number one in 1986, I believe, and then Batdance was number one in 1989. So a little bit of history there for you. Cool. And what are you up to for the rest of the week?
Well, I have school is in full swing, so I've got an assessment tomorrow. I've got a midterm on Monday, and then sandwiched in between those unpleasant things, I've got Halloween festivities to attend. So
nice.
It's Wednesday as of recording this. I'm going to a party Friday night, and I don't have a costume planned yet. So
something you have to do something about that.
Yeah, I've been procrastinating a bit too far. So we'll see. We'll see what I come up with.
I'm having when this episode ends, I have to race out. I'm actually helping a band make a music video. So I'm going to go into the mountains, Mount Nebo here in Brisbane, and help a band make a music video. So that's what I'm up to this week, and packing for my trip on Tuesday.
That's dope. That's gonna be a lot of fun. The music video.
Yeah. So it's up in the mountains. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah. How about you, Darren? What are you up to?
Nothing much. Just scanning old photos.
Cool. All right, let's get into our independent artist this week, which is an artist called Morgan X. She's based out of Canberra, Australia. Now, to any non-Australians listening, it's Canberra, not Canberra. A little education for you. We're going to listen to a song called Outkast, which is one of her new songs. And instead of me talking about the song and butchering it, let's get Morgan to talk about the song.
Hi guys, I'm Morgan X, and my song Outkast is about overcoming your fears and truly believing in yourself, and believing in whatever obstacles you're facing and getting past them and not letting others hold you back. Darren, just hit play.
You've been listening to Just Hit Play. To contact your hosts, Peter and Nick, or to be featured on an episode as musical talent, email justhitplay7300@gmail.com. Keep up to date with news and announcements by following on Instagram and Facebook, linked in the show notes. Subscribe on your favourite podcatcher to tune in next week for more sonic delights. And if you can't wait till then, check out the Just Hit playlist on Spotify, linked in the show notes. A special thanks to me, Angie Moss, for the theme song, featured in the soundtrack to Strange Breed, a Moss Siblings production, linked in the show notes. And thank you for listening.